Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and I'm back again to do another Q&A session. But before delving into that, I would just like to address the audio on these videos, because while the picture is getting better and better by the week, I think the audio is lacking a little bit. I can hear that hum in the background. That's my PC that's just down here, and it's quite noisy because there's lots of fans in it to keep everything cool. I wish I could do something about that. And I can, thanks to my awesome patrons over on Patreon. Massive thanks to you guys. I have just picked up a bunch of plugins from iZotope, and I'm going to engage some of the RX Elements plugins now to improve the audio. So fingers crossed this sounds better. I'm going to click my fingers and we'll put some plugins on this. Ready? And go. That does sound better. That sounds a lot better. So huge thank you again to you guys. Right, so let's dig into these questions. These actually come from two of my patrons over in my Patreon group on Facebook. Caspar and Stephen have asked, any tips or tricks to help transcribing wah-wah stuff? The sweep in tone sometimes confuses my ear, if there is also a fair amount of notes going on. That's a really difficult question. And I thought about it and wasn't too sure on the answer. But then Stephen asked the question, I'd love to know how you transcribe material which has extremely processed guitar, pitch shifted with whammy pedals and stuff like that, buckethead stuff. And that got me thinking. I totally understand the question now. Wah is a great sound. Love a bit of wah. And the best thing about wah is you can cover a sloppy solo in wah. I mean, just ask Kirk Hammett. Cover a sloppy solo in wah, and the sound becomes less about the notes that you're playing and more about the vocal expression that you can get from that tone control coming from the wah, right? It becomes about the wah when you're using wah, which is fine. It's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes if I'm playing a bit beyond my capabilities, it's nice to kick on a wah so no one can really notice how beyond your abilities you're playing. Wasn't really sure how to answer that question, and I've had to transcribe a hell of a lot of crazy wah stuff. Most recently, a bunch of Satriani legato stuff from The Extremist and War, I believe. Some real mad stuff going on there. And you're right, it's very, very hard to hear what's going on when there are lots of notes going on. So what is the solution to this? Well, I think the solution comes in Stephen's question. When Stephen asks about tips for transcribing extremely processed guitars, guys using lots of whammy pedals, or what I would thought of when he said that is delay. If you think of Nuno Betancourt's Flight of the Wounded Bumblebee thing, or Buckethead obviously has used this on is it on Big Sur Moon, maybe? Lots of this stuff. Paul Gilbert, the delay song, is it called the delay song? The echo song? Albert Lee, obviously, and of course the Edge, that famous dotted eighth note delay trick. Very cool. How do you go about transcribing stuff like that? How do you go about transcribing whammy pedal stuff? I think I know the answer, and the answer is experience. And I know that sounds ridiculous because it's not really helping you. But what I mean when I say experience is you have to understand how the effect works. You have to have an understanding of how the instrument uses said effect, how the player uses said effect. So I transcribe a lot of guitar, and I'm a guitar player. So I've used the wah pedal, I've used the whammy pedal, I've used the dotted eighth note delay trick. When I hear things like that on record, I understand what that is. But if you asked a world-class pianist who's never even heard a guitar to transcribe the guitar using the dotted eighth note delay trick, chances are they're probably not going to have an idea of how to transcribe it accurately. Understandably so. I don't transcribe a whole lot of piano because my piano skills are rudimentary at best. Same with drums. I've got a kit just over there and I play it all the time. Love it. Love playing drums. But my drumming skills are not that of Dennis Chambers. They are not that of Virgil Donati. They're not that of just about any great drummer. They are dreadful drumming skills, but I really enjoy doing it. So the point is, when it comes to transcribing a drummer, things like how they're using their left foot to control the hi-hat is a little bit beyond my understanding. So when it comes to transcribing guitar stuff that uses things like whammy pedals, I've had to do things like Guthrie Govan's Uncle Skunk. That uses a lot of whammy pedal in it. You need to have had enough time to sit down with said effect to understand how it is used and then you can go about transcribing. Now, whammy is a different thing altogether, because when you think about it, it's actually changing the notes that you're playing, and it can do it quite dramatically. And the way that you choose to notate that, well, it's a modern technique, and notation is very old. So there are a lot of things that you see guitar players do that actually don't really lend themselves very well to being transcribed. But using programs like Guitar Pro 7, you can indicate stuff like this. It's really down to the transcriber though. So that pulls me back to Casper's question, how to transcribe wah stuff. Obviously there's no easy answer to that, but I feel that when you've played with a wah enough, it's not that you can switch it off. It's not that you can listen to a recording and stop hearing the wah. The wah is always going to be there. But because you understand how the wah works, you can kind of put it towards the back of your mind a little bit and dig in a little deeper and try and hear the notes. The thing with wah, as I say, is it covers things up, and that can be frustrating. As a transcriber, that can be very frustrating, because I pride myself on giving clients the most accurate work possible. And I strive to do that at all times, even when transcribing wah stuff. But for what Casper's talking about here, he needs to play some cover stuff. Rest easy knowing that you can kind of cover a lot of what you're playing with that wah. And as I say, it's less about the exact notes that you're playing and more about the waka waka sound. Waka waka waka. So I know that's not a perfect answer, but the answer really is experience. You need to have spent a lot of time with the wah. There's no magic solution to help you out here, unless you're going to set up some mad automated EQing settings where you're riding the EQ to compensate for what the wah is doing. It's overkill. Really, it's a case of just exposing yourself to enough of it. And sometimes it's going to happen where you're going to be given something and you're just going to be honest and have to say, nope, can't do it. There are plenty of mad Zakk Wylde moments where he goes into full beast mode, alternate picking like a monster, and engages the wah, and he's rocking that wah, and stuff like that I wouldn't really want to touch. So I don't. And being honest with clients in settings like that is also very important. So hopefully that answers your question. Experience. You need experience in this stuff in order to be able to do it well. But what do you guys think? Have you had any experience trying to transcribe wah? Wah is a pain in the arse. Very cool effect though. I think I've got like 3 different wah pedals, and they all have slightly different vibes, and I like them all equally. Totally, yeah. Lastly, I would just like to thank all of my patrons again over on Patreon. Hopefully you can still hear me. You can see me. These guys all support me at a $10 or more tier. I've got a few more names that I need to add to this list. Awesome people. And as you can hear, it's helping to improve the videos. And that was always the point of Patreon. It was about improving these videos. Videos look better. Videos now sound a lot better. So thank you very much for that, guys. If you would like to check us out over on Patreon, you can click this bobbly thing over here. There's also a button down here you can click to subscribe to my channel. That's very important. And you can check out 2 more of my videos here and here. Please do hit that like button, get involved in the comments, and I will see you for another video soon. Bye.